It's going to be more like a democratization of infrastructure, because right now if you want to fill up your car, you need to go to one of the petrol stations, and in the future everyone who has a private home, a private parking space can choose what kind of electricity provider can charge up the cars at home. And regarding the parts of the skipping or leapfrog technology, I think of course many regions of the world think about this, and when it comes to charging infrastructure, I think there are two sides. One side is, just as I said, to charge the cars at home at a low cost, or if you decide that this is the investment is too high to provide almost every house with a private charging point. The other option is to have fast charging at public spots, but I think it depends on the preconditions.
Yes, Florian wants to add to that, please.
I wanted to add something to the question. So the part I don't, if I'm correct, is what is the part that we have to skip? Or so actually the world today is going to mobility versus purchasing the car. So nobody is going to purchase a car after 5 or 10 years. I think, I don't know exactly. I hope 5. So all the companies now are looking to another direction regarding their assets or their let's say their profitability in the future. Because for, let's say, for 50 million euro stock of cars, once they operate, they generate 70 million euro of work, let's say, of services. So actually, all the car companies now they're going through autonomous drive and stuff like this. So if we, like the country, so let's say Albania, we point on this way. So if we point in the way that we organize companies, private or government sector, to make this happen. So actually, people have to have the possibility to use more taxi, more shared car, more buses, stuff like this. So the industry or technology will pay by itself, because we all have the money to spend every day €1, €2, but it is difficult for us to spend €30 or 30,000 euro or something like this, which need to be invested in a different brands of today, electric cars or other cars. So, and electromobility offer this possibility very much, because the costs, as Mr. mentioned here, are very low. You can use the car for a very long period, so not anymore 3-5 years. So you have 10 years warranty from the factory. So we must point on this direction. So our let's say our population, our country will have to focus on let's say on the mobility, not on the structure. The structure will be created a space by itself. An investor, people will be so willing to invest on this.
Yeah, I see what you mean, Gerti. I will come to you actually, because I want to follow this up with some more detailed information. I mean, we're talking about e-mobility, sharing, transportation solutions versus car companies now. And this question of the future rises up. But in more concrete terms, what could the Albanian government do to make it faster, to quicken this change? And even looking around at neighboring countries, what are some of the programs that you would suggest, or you see that could be very helpful into making this progress go faster?
I did mention a little bit, but as wrap it up, I would say that the stakeholders on this new area of mobility is the public, the companies that are in this business, and the state. This is referring to local and central government. If these actors are not cooperating one with each other, I see that we will only move into some, let's say, individual initiatives like, let's say, taxi, for example, that is a huge initiative, you know, taking into consideration the missing infrastructure of the charging stations, not support from the government when it comes to developing this network of chargings, and no legislation at all, actually. So on that fact, I would say, when it comes to the government needs to see the big picture. Where are we going? What's going to happen with this part of the business? There are going to be any development? Are we ready? And how we can support this? And this, I would think, it needs to be discussed with the stakeholders of the business and try to not do just this forum as an opportunity, but really open the doors of the central government and talk to the people and to the stakeholders of that business. Second, from the government, there is need for financial resources. The charging network cannot be done by the companies that are doing the taxi services or the companies that are selling these cars. It's impossible because it's costly. We can cooperate, but we cannot do it on our own. Even in the countries like Germany, for example, it's the state that was doing the first steps, and now you see the joint of NSC groups, like the German group, trying to attach the funds to the government funds to really enlarge from 10 and something thousand charges. They're going to be plus more for the next year. This is an information also for you. And in that sense, what I'm trying to say is it cannot be done only by us. When it comes to local government, yes, taxes, we said they need to have incentives. For me, they need to be excluded from the taxes. They should not pay tax in companies that are using electric cars, in my opinion. For the public, there should be incentives that are given by the companies and by the state. For example, just in our case, we tested last year a very successful action with Bosch Albania. We did an offer for scrapping the old cars, trying to give a sign or whatever with a brand and offering, let's say, a less emission car. And actually the result from the public with the incentives that we were giving, it was huge. There were 640 people interested for that, and we had only 25 cars on stock, and we sold them in a week. So it means that the public interest for that, for using these cars and having new cars with new technology, less pollution, it is there. And here, it needs to be the government on site, because it's going to be very difficult. So as a conclusion, I see it as a cooperation, not one side job, and also not a one-side investment, because it's very difficult. Automotive business, as Mr. Bukovski was explaining, it's still the smallest in the region. I'm not talking about Europe, I'm talking about in the Balkans. Together with Kosovo, we are the smallest market. Macedonia, for example, just for your information, is twice as much as Albania. However, the population is like, what, 1 million less? So we really need now to take this information and try to work with and sit with the government. And maybe with DIHA, we can continue to stretch these ideas into another forum and discuss it a little bit better. Because it is in the benefit of the Albanian people and the Albanian country.
Thank you. Dominic, I have a question for you. With electrical cars, things change on the road as far as safety goes. You know, firefighters and how you respond to accidents and how you handle these situations. That all changes. Could you describe us some of those changes that must take place if when e-mobility comes about?
Yeah, so it seems like there are many people are more concerned about an electric car than to drive a car that has a highly explosive substance like petrol in it. Yeah? So I just want to stress the point that it's many things are. I mean, everything is under control, and many things are not as dramatic. I think what we learned in Germany, that it's important for the firefighters and the emergency units to know what kind of car it is when they are road accidents, and so this was one of the reasons we introduced a new number plate for electric vehicles with just an E at the end, so everyone knows, oh, this is electric vehicle, and then we provide to the authorities the plans. Where are the
before that, we were supposed to get a license from the factory to be trained, to have special tools, and when it's say trained, it's not only sales, it's after sales. So you need to be licensed to try to put these cars on the market, because in the next day you might have a problem and you need to face it and try to give a solution. When we delivered these cars, we asked for training for the users, because they were the first time these cars that were offered in the market, and we did 2 hours training with a notebook that were given to them. But this is not only one thing. The cars are quite safe. It's really safe. But we don't need to forget that it's a high voltage car, and it is a risk there. So not everybody can do like the Albanian love to do it and open and try to fix it on their own. No, all these cars should not be done. Should be sent to the professionals. Should be sent to the car dealers to be fixed. And this brings to the problem of the fire brigade. We train the fire brigade. We train one company that is doing the towing of the cars if they have a breakdown in the street. And also we give a number of a hotline. So if anything, a lamp and something that they don't know, it's right. So it is, when I said a new mindset, it is also related with all these things. It needs time to really try to be familiar with these new products in the market, and we are increasing our internal capacities, technical one when it comes to the after sales and to the sales. Just one thing, these cars, they have more than 1 year, 14, 15 months, never showed up in the after sales. So zero cost for them at the moment. We are waiting because we want to make money, but unfortunately the cars are tricking us to this now.
Right, we hadn't counted on that, I suppose. Dominic, I want to ask you a question about Albania and production when it comes to electrical cars. Do you see any potential for Albania to get into the game of making things, producing things that could be used in electrical vehicles?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to parts, yeah, it is. I think actually it's an advantage that if you come in quite new into the market, you don't have so many path dependencies. Yeah? We have large suppliers in Germany, which I said they're highly dependent on their components, and we have some who have will face some challenges if they have to change their whole production, and this is why, for example, big companies like Bosch or some they sold parts of their company which deal with these kinds of components for internal combustion engines. Since what I know, you have here there is in Albania there is a production already of electrical wiring and stuff like that. So you can go from there. Now let me just give this is now an outlook in the future. Yeah? As it was said, the electric car is more costly in production. It's largely it's just basically only because of the battery. So at some point of time we will need to have a battery production in Europe, and it is not decided where. I think there are some countries competing or have ideas like Sweden, also Germany and France, but. So I think it is worthwhile observing this because in the future we'll need to change because we cannot only be dependent on Japanese, Chinese, or Korean supplier.
Thank you. Okay, Florian wants to add something to that, so please go ahead.
Regarding the same topic that you were asking, Mr. Dominic, I wanted to say that so let's say if you are talking for the future, so I hope that so we discuss often in our office according to what we should deal or not, and we have a joke that we say that the next car will be a washing machine. So because now 60% of the 40%, 45% of the components are going out from the car, from an electric car. So the main component is the battery now, and everything else is well known from every industry worldwide. It is not, let's say, before it was the heart of the car was the engine. Not everybody could make an engine like, let's say, Mercedes, or not everybody could make an engine like Volkswagen, or like everybody. It was unique and its specification. But now there is nothing to be unique on. So you have battery, and you have a power of the motor, and everything else is like mobile phone or fax machine or everything. So
Almost makes me feel sorry. Yeah.
no, we don't have to feel sorry about this. We have to see the possibility that, as Mr. said, that we don't have back investments to cover stuff like this, so we can directly produce plastic or all the other components that are needed in the car, which are actually more simple right now. So workers have to compete with big iPhone.
Yeah.
With small components.
If I just may add something into a, let's say, into a more bigger picture. Albania, as the Deputy Minister mentioned before, it has some indicators that might be useful for the foreign investors to take into account. The GDP growth is one of the best when it comes to the region, and as Ms. Ambassador was saying before, it's expected to be about 4%. When it comes to the tax ratio, Albanians are a bit divided, but I still feel, and I still can mention that this is favorable for the foreign investors to come here. The rule of law, based on the government strategy, it's going to be, let's say, enforced when it comes to the protection of the investments, and trying to be on the side and trying to be very cooperative when it comes to the government and to the foreign investors. There are some investment when it comes to professional schools, getting the skills into the market that might help in the future for the foreign investor to be taken into account for other investments, like the company that we said about before when it comes to the wiring. It is a great geographical location. It has connection with the sea, and this is an advantage because you can spread your products around Europe. We hope pretty soon we're going to have some real roads together also into this Berlin conference that is mentioned that Albania is taking part and working jointly with countries, other countries like Serbia, like Macedonia, and I would say all this climate, it creates a positive feeling for the investors. Of course, I'm not the one that I can go into the details, but I do know that the government of Albania is eager to looking for foreign investments this year. And I guess the Deputy Minister will enforce it with the colleagues from Germany. And I do see Albania as an opportunity that can be taken because representing a company that is the only international one in the automotive business, dispute the challenges, I would say that we are more than happy being in Albania, and we had, let's say, grown together with Albania, and we do see it as a favorable country to invest. This was just as an Albanian and also CEO of Porsche Albania. Just welcome you in Albania.
Thank you for that. We have arrived at the end of time for this panel. There is a coffee break right now. I just wanted to invite some of you to try and drive an electrical vehicle that Porsche has brought. It's a Volkswagen e-up waiting outside. So we can have coffee in the hall up until 11:05, but also somebody can take a ride around the Tirana Business Park in an electrical vehicle, so make it more concrete for you. Thank you.